Joint forces cause Houthi militia losses in response to their attacks on civilians in al-Durayhimi. Members of the parliament request a committee to investigate violations in Taiz. Houthis force educational staff to attend religious lectures. Welcome to Yemen Today TV. This is the English news with me, Roshan Fouad. Joint forces responded to Houthi attacks in al-Durayhimi, south of Hodeidah. Military sources said that the Houthi militia targeted villages in al-Durayhimi with heavy mortar shells, while responding with focused strikes that caused casualties in the Houthi hideouts and inflicted losses among them. Members of the parliament requested President to form a committee to investigate violations and security imbalances taking place in Taiz. 32 members of the parliament called on the president to form a neutral military and security presidential committee to visit Taiz and investigate the security unrest in the city since its liberation from the militia. Bir Basha neighborhood in the city witnessed clashes between Al Harik family and Al A'raj in a dispute over a piece of land, in which more than 5 were killed and injured. The incident sparked terror and panic in the city, and families tried to move to more safe and stable areas. In al-Bayda, Houthi militia blew up an important bridge. Local sources confirmed that the militia blew up a bridge located between al-Juraybat and al-Saha, which is the only area under the government control. The militias planted a number of explosive devices and blew up the important bridge in an attempt to impede any progress of government and resistant forces. Houthi militia imposes compulsory religious lectures on academic employees in areas under their control before resuming their work inside educational facilities.
Houthis abusive act, targeting the educational staff in the Ministry of Education in Sana'a, as it aims to disrupt the interests of students and parents who frequently attend the office on daily basis, who complained that Houthi supervisors monitor the activities of employees, gather them every morning to receive religious lectures for over a period of 2 hours. According to sources, the education office opens its doors to citizens an hour late because of the held lectures, as the militia conducts these courses compulsory rather than voluntarily. According to sources, the education office opens its doors to citizens an hour late because of the held lectures, as the militia conducts these lectures compulsory rather than voluntarily, and prepares a blacklist of employees who fail to attend these lectures and dismiss them from their duties. Most employees that are controlled by the Iranian-backed militia are forced to attend intensive religious lectures in an effort to pull these employees and make them part of its destructive, racist and religious project. The Houthi militia directed its weapons precisely at educational institutions in the areas under its control in an attempt to spread ignorance, extremism, and the hardline Iranian culture that supports the graduation of terrorists who are mobilized to the fronts and practice terrorist acts against civilians. There are many forms of violations committed by the militia against educational institutions, students, academics, and educators belonging to them, including killing, assault, torture, arrest, collecting humanitarian aid, recruiting students, displacing educators, bombing schools, stormings, and looting.
The ugly war in Yemen has overshadowed all aspects of life, and people found themselves cornered between the fear of being killed or starved to death. Adding to their burdens is the crisis of home gas shortage, which has suffocated common people in different governorates. More details on that story is within this report.
Abdurrahman is trying to light the fire under this pot with what he has found of plastic bags and cardboard. This has become his only option for cooking food, as he can no longer buy a gas cylinder whose price has reached more than 10,000 Yemeni riyals, equivalent to about $10. The voice of Abdurrahman Abdusalim, citizen of Aden Governorate, says that the low salary that some government agencies spend is not only sufficient to pay the household's monthly needs of domestic gas cylinders. So how would it be enough for the rest of the necessary needs, calling on the concerned authorities to end the long-standing suffering of the citizens by ending the domestic gas crisis and other crises of lack of oil derivatives? In the past few days, the city of Aden witnessed a domestic gas crisis as a result of depriving some major stations of their allocated portion from the Yemeni gas company, which made the cylinder sold in the black market for 10,000 rialis, or 3 times its price approved by the Yemeni company. The black market of the Houthi militia in the capital, Sana'a, has reached about 15,000 rialis, twice the price at which it is sold in filling stations. As for the gas that is distributed through local representatives, its price is about 5,000 rialis, but access to the monthly portion requires paying fees from time to time to support the celebration of sectarian occasions and presenting the bonds of loyalty to the militia by involving a relative on the fronts and contributing to the ongoing process of mobilization on the fronts fighting. Abdurrahman is one of the many Yemeni citizens struggling because of the life necessities and the price of the gas. Until when? No one knows. Shaza Abdelbaei, Yemen Today.
Ma'rib has been experiencing an absence of internet services for several weeks. That means life is paralyzed and the windows to access the world are closed. The following report has more details.
In Ma'rib, the internet service has been constantly interrupted, sometimes by the Iranian-backed Houthi militias, and at other times it is cut off due to the torrential rains that hit the country and damaged the cables. This led to cut-off communication among people.
The internet outage caused complete paralysis in Marib in general because all our work is connected to the internet, such as money transfers, communication with merchants, and so on.
Websites were shut down, transactions were delayed, and many businesses, including banking, stopped providing remittance services. The lack of internet service let people start looking for alternatives, such as the satellite internet, which costs more while its connection speed is slow, which means tasks will take longer time to be done. Thuraya Al-Akhali, a female employee in one of the service institutions in the city, the interruption of internet services reflected on her life after her work was completely suspended.
The internet outage led to many problems, obstacles, and technical malfunctions in the institutions, which prevented them from fully performing their tasks and duties. The main reason for the outage was initially due to the rain that damaged the internet cables, in addition to the Houthi militias.
The Houthi takeover of the local internet service provider YemenNet and the destruction of internet supply lines to Yemen caused the complete deterioration of the service. This affected all spectrums of people who are completely dependent on this service. Such a thing led to widespread discontent among people whose daily life businesses have been severely hampered by this.
Coming next. A Yemeni lady with a strong determination to survive despite hard conditions.
بأي حق الحوثي يقصف علينا هنا على منازلنا وإحنا نازحين بأي حق؟ هذا ولا بحق الإنسانية.
الأمم المتحدة يجون على هذا الدمار والخراب. الآن أصبحنا بلا مأوى. فين نروح؟ الحوثة لم يخلونا ننام ولا نستقر في بيوتنا.
بأي ذنب يقتلوا الأطفال والنساء وهم في بيوتهم آمنين؟ يا أصحاب المصيرة الشيطانية اتقوا الله في الناس.
The majority of Yemeni people brace the consequences and stands alone, unable to confront the ravages of war, division, and the ongoing economic deterioration. Over the past month, the Yemeni rial has declined against foreign currencies to the lowest rate. since the war began in March 2015, registering 800 riyals to the US dollar, amid international warnings of further declines. More of this story is within this report.
Where the Yemen Riyal is heading to? The answer to the question lies within the conflict that escalated about 6 years ago, specifically with Houthi rebels controlling the capital Sana'a. Since then, the Riyal was not stable. It fluctuated into an upward surge against the US dollar, upping from 214 to a historic 1,000 against the greenback. Economists link the current fall of the Riyal to the political instability that engulfs the country, along with the failure to resume oil exports and to collect revenues from the state bodies. To help recover the Riyal, the Yemeni government replaced the central bank governors, shut down exchange firms to put an end to the currency speculation, and provided local traders with a dollar. Also, the government floated the Riyal to bridge the gap between the official rate and that in the black market, and relocated the central bank headquarters from Sana'a to Aden. This, however, was not enough, with the Houthi rebels banning the use of new banknotes printed by the Yemeni government in Aden and refusing to deposit revenues from Hodeidah seaport and taxes into the central bank in Aden. Now what's next? The Yemen Riyal, according to experts, is doomed to plunge more, with pricing skyrocketing as inflation increases. People in Yemen will find it hard to pay for basic food and services, which could spark protests nationwide.
The war in Yemen has affected all aspects of life, especially the economic situation. Shahira is one of thousands of Yemenis who try to cope with the hardships of life in despite of difficult life conditions. More details are in this report.
It is her daily habit to go to the place where she practices her craft and displays her products at a shopping mall in Aden. Shahira is a Yemeni old lady who is good at recycling materials into new ones. She shows all her crafts she has in recycling these items, which represent the Yemeni culture and at the same time keep the environment clean.
I started working in this craft 16 years ago. I am a retired teacher. I started bit by bit until I was able to do these items. They were then for a normal value because everything was cheap. I was buying things in reasonable prices, and then I was adding the value of my work.
Shahira did not give up in the face of cruel conditions in her country. Although she was close to the brink of poverty, with a strong determination to keep going, she was able to continue her message in order to secure a good life for her family.
I earn the living of my family. I have one daughter and one son. This business plus my pension could support them. There is too the rent of the place and the money I pay to buy the material. Surely I am consumed.
The Yemeni lady set a good example of a woman that strives hard to get on with humble materials in harsh conditions.
I do this work in my space time. It is hard to do nothing in your space time. I do that despite my old age. Thank God, age has nothing to do with the mind that thinks and the hand that work.
Shahira displays many different handmade items that are highly accepted.
I am proud to know someone such as Shahira. She did not give up to retirement by staying home. She made herself tried. High prices are the difficult things that I face. High prices came suddenly as if they were a virus. We cannot buy anything. Whatever we buy for the material goes back to our basics.
This spectacular Yemeni lady, Shahira, with her smile on her face, gives the people in Yemen an example of how to persist on despite of all the difficulties.
The Supreme Economic Council, headed by the Prime Minister, approved a package of measures to support monetary policy to prevent the deterioration of the national currency, avoid economic collapse, and the required international support to assist the government's efforts. The Council approved that the government's decision to increase the customs exchange rate stressing that it will not be affected by the basic livelihood of people, as it will provide the public finances with revenues that could be stop the deterioration of the national currency, improving public services and regular payment of state employees' salaries. The Economic Council endorsed before a report submitted by the Deputy Governor of the Central Bank, stressing that all the necessary measures are to be taken to put an end to the deterioration of the national currency with the help of countries and donor organizations. The National Center of Meteorology expects rain of varying intensity, accompanied by the hail in the number of cities during the next 24 hours. The center indicated that the possibility of medium to heavy rain is separate areas from Saada in the north of Taiz and Lahj in the south. It may also extend to parts of the plains of El Baida, Abyan, Shabwa, Hadramaut and El Mahra. Scattered rain is expected on the western and southwestern coasts and on parts of the deserts of Hadramaut, Shabwa, El Jawf and Ma'rib. According to the center, high winds are also expected to Socotra. Here is a reminder of the main headlines. Here is a reminder of the main headlines. Joint forces cause Houthi militia losses in response to their attacks on civilians in El Durhami. Members of the parliament request a committee to investigate violations in Taiz. Houthis force educational staff to attend religious lectures. That is the end of the news. Thank you for watching.